Okay, let's talk about something we've all experienced at work: silence. Not the good kind, but that heavy silence when you know something needs to be said, but no one's saying it. It's this massive, invisible force in almost every company, and today, we're going to pull back the curtain on why it happens. Come on, you know the feeling, right? You're in a meeting, you see a huge flaw in a plan, or maybe you have an idea that could change everything. You go to speak up, and then you just don't. If you've been there, trust me, you are in very, very good company.
In fact, you're in the overwhelming majority. One really important study found that a staggering 70% of employees admitted they were afraid to speak up about problems at work. So here's the thing. In a lot of workplaces, silence isn't the exception. It's the default setting.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the paradox of silence, then get into the mental math we all do before we even think about opening our mouths. After that, we'll uncover the secret, unconscious rules that are really running the show. We'll look at the constant tug of war happening inside us, what's actually at stake when we speak up, and we'll wrap up with a practical toolkit for everyone. You know, leaders often fall into this really dangerous trap where they think, hey, no one's complaining, so everything must be great. But the research is crystal clear. This is a huge mistake. Silence almost never means everything's fine. It's usually hiding something much bigger. So, first things first, let's get on the same page about what voice really is. It's not just talking for the sake of it. It's when you choose to share something constructive. And that word discretionary is everything. It means it's a choice. People have to want to do it. You can't force it.
And that leads us to the flip side: silence. The key word here is withholding. This isn't just the absence of talking. It is an active, conscious decision to hold back something you know is relevant. You have something to say, and you deliberately choose not to.
So just how common is that choice? Well, check this out. A study by Milliken and her colleagues found that 85% of professionals could think of at least one time they felt they couldn't bring up an important issue with their boss. This isn't some minor thing. It's a fundamental part of how most organizations operate.
So why do we choose silence? Well, the traditional way of looking at it is that it's all a very rational, logical calculation. Before we say anything, our brain does a quick little cost-benefit analysis. See, every single time there's a chance to speak your mind, your brain is running this super fast risk assessment, and it all boils down to two really big questions that pretty much decide everything. On one side, you've got efficacy. You're asking, is this even going to work? Will anyone listen, or am I just shouting into the void? And on the other side, you've got safety. Is this risky for me? Am I going to get labeled as a troublemaker? Could this hurt my career? And if your brain concludes that it's not going to work and it's going to hurt you, well, silence suddenly looks like the only smart move. But, and this is a huge but, that conscious calculation is only half the story. The really fascinating research shows that a lot of our silence is driven by these deep, automatic rules we don't even know we're following. This quote from Dieter and Trevino absolutely nails it. A leader can say, "My door is always open," all day long, but their actions can accidentally send a totally different message. A message that says, hey, there's a power dynamic here, so be careful. We walk into new jobs basically pre-programmed to censor ourselves around the boss. Researchers have a name for this: implicit voice theories. You can think of them as these little subconscious rules of thumb about speaking up. Things like never make your boss look bad in a meeting, or people who rock the boat don't get promoted. They're so ingrained in us, they just fire off automatically, completely bypassing that logical cost-benefit analysis we just talked about. And these rules come from all over the place. Some of it is literally evolutionary. We are hardwired to be careful around people with more power. A lot of it comes from how we're raised. Don't talk back to your parents or teachers. And of course, culture plays a massive role. All these beliefs just become automatic, and they make silence our go-to behavior.
So what you end up with is this constant internal tug of war. On one side, you've got forces that are pushing you to speak up and make things better. And on the other side, you've got these powerful forces pulling you back into silence.
You're only going to speak up when the motivators are strong enough to beat the inhibitors. So for example, feeling psychologically safe or having a really open boss might really motivate you. But things like fear, or the feeling that it's pointless anyway, or a really strict hierarchy, those can easily crush all that motivation. And the key thing to realize is that silence wins a lot, because those inhibitors are incredibly powerful.
And this choice between speaking up or staying quiet, it's not a small thing. it has massive consequences. We're talking about things that affect your company's ability to innovate and perform, but also things that can directly impact your own career. The stakes couldn't be higher. This research from Eric Burris shows just how real that risk is. He found that when people offer ideas that support what's already happening, managers are all for it. They endorse those ideas about 85% of the time. But the moment that voice becomes challenging, when it points out a flaw or a problem, whoa, that endorsement rate plummets to just 35%. It basically proves that our fear of being seen as a troublemaker, it's often totally justified. But here is the critical takeaway. Your impact isn't just about what you say, it's about how you say it. Things like keeping your emotions in check, bringing solutions instead of just complaints, and picking the right time and place, that can transform a risky move into a contribution that makes you look like a star. Okay, so we get it. It's complicated. The big question is, what can we actually do about it? Well, the research gives us a really clear toolkit with practical advice for both the leaders in the room and for everyone else on the front lines. For leaders, it all starts with making your people feel like they're a part of something important. Then you have to go out of your way to ask for their input. And this is key. You have to actually listen. That's how you build psychological safety, or people feel safe enough to be honest. And finally, you have to actively fight against all those things that cause silence in the first place. And for all of us who want to speak up and actually have an impact, first, build a reputation for being credible and someone people can trust. When you do speak, manage your emotions. Passion is great. Anger just makes people defensive. Always try to pair a problem with a potential solution. And finally, think about how to frame your message so it's easier for the other person to hear. So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Thinking about everything we just covered, the mental mouth, the subconscious fears, and the strategies for being heard, what is the one conversation you've been avoiding at work that, if you finally had it, could make the biggest difference for you, your team, or your entire organization? Something to think about.